I go back there next week because that's what I'm feeding my bearded dragon right now. Fuck, I'm not gonna go spend $12 a week on. I used to when I had the other one, the place I used to get these worms for him, and like he was eating good, but like now they increased it after COVID. I used to be able to get 50, then they went to 75 during COVID. Now they're at you can only buy a minimum of 100, and I can't justify 100 worms with this one guy. Like I could feed them all when they're small, but it's like it's a waste. I don't know. I just don't. It would be so many of those worms would go to waste, and it's so much work to maintain these little worms because they grow so fucking fast. But so I'm like, yeah,
What kind of worms?
I'll feed him cicadas. He ate 12 cicadas today. He's a savage, dude.
What kind of worms are they? Mealworms?
No, they're called they're horned worms or Goliath worms. They're like these little blue worms with like a
Green,
little
right?
they're like green or blue or like a teal with like a little orange or red horn coming out of their head. They,
Oh,
they
okay.
start
I
they
know.
start they start off like this big and then they fucking boom, like they fatten up, dude, and they're amazing for them. Like I the female I had, unfortunately, I shouldn't have kept the male and female together. I thought I could. I thought they were like cool enough with each other because they grew up together. But the male just started going to Pound Town too much and kind of like made her push her organs out. And so I got the surgery, got him pushed back in. Eventually, it just wasn't enough, and so she got put down. But she was in such good health. The doctor was like, "Wait, the one vet literally didn't believe me that she was having so many clutches of eggs. She's like, yeah, that's not common, and walked out of the room. And then when I went to the next doctor that was a specialist, was like, what do you feed him? I was like, I feed him the Goliath worm. She's like, all the time. I was like, yeah, and she's like, most people don't feed them that way, and so you're giving this to animal everything it needs. It's gonna be in a high state of, you know, whatever you call it. She's like, most animals probably would have died from proliferating like this because she proliferated pretty bad. And she was like, so the fact that, she was having so many clutches is a kind of a testament to you taking care of them. I was like, well, that makes me feel better in a shitty situation, so I appreciate that. But um, it's interesting to see how the diet really does affect them too, though. And so that's how you know those Goliath worms are like the real deal good. Um, and you go to a store, you're paying $15 for four, and I was getting them online for jars of. It would get 4 jars of 30. It's supposed to be 20 to 30. Um, and it was like $100, and it would end up being like 35, 40 in each thing because like so many would die off. But if you take care of them well and clean and maintain it, you can pretty much get them all. Like I would probably have like a 10% death rate throughout the whole entire month when I would buy them, or
Yeah.
2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it was, 2 weeks, I think 2.5 weeks, what they would last between the two of them. Um, but I was smart about it, like I separated them all like by size to kind of keep them like competing at the same rate. Because if you didn't, you let one get too big, motherfucker just eats all the food, dude, and he just becomes a monster. Then he starts eating the little guys.
No.
Yeah, dude, they get savage real quick, bro. Yeah, because like a big one will bite a little one. I think sometimes just to kind of get it away from it, and then I think it realizes like, oh shit, that wasn't bad, and then goes and eats it. Like, because like you see him fight, and then like all of a sudden it starts eating it. It's like, whoa, that thing was not about to eat that before. Like, I think it just got a taste of it. It was like, okay, I could do this, you know?
They fucking you had that much to do with that. Oh, the beer dragons look pretty cool. I've seen them before. It's like I've seen people feed them mealworms. Um, fucking look like roly polies or whatever. Look like they're feeding them that.
So they're super
Uh,
worms. Yeah,
okay.
they're like they have
I
that
see.
shell. Yeah,
How big is yours?
he's actually he. I thought he was gonna be big. The female was bigger than him, which is actually tends
Are
to
females
happen in
usually
nature.
bigger though than males?
I think so, but he's only like his body's like that big. His head
Okay.
probably adds like that, and then so, I mean, he's probably like with tail like that big. He's a little
Oh,
chunky
okay.
fucker though. Um, but no, he's definitely he's a cool little dragon. I want to get a snake eventually. There's this I had him on the podcast. He breeds snakes, but I want to get I want to get either he said I should go with a constrictor and not a boa because boas are a little bit more aggressive. But I had this red tail boa that was so cool and she was just so chill. Like there was a couple times where she tightened up and like she got caught. She wrapped herself on the I beam in the basement because I was playing
Yeah.
Guitar Hero and she was around my neck. Um, but I
You ever thought about getting ball pythons?
Well,
Since they're smaller.
that's what he breeds. But I want a bigger one. I would want something that I could like hold and like be cool with. But he said,
Yeah, I would just think the fact that you got kids. You know what I mean? You don't want
yeah,
it too big.
yeah, you just gotta you gotta handle it a lot. Let them handle it. Let them understand it. Never let them handle it without you there because, and I mean, they'll be getting big enough to a point now where it wouldn't even try to consider it food because I think maybe if it got big and like we didn't touch it or anything, and maybe it would go back to that or got real hungry, it would try and attack one of them. But
I would say, yeah, if you got kids and you got pets and shit, I would say, in my opinion, stick with the smaller ones just for
well,
safety factor.
I wouldn't get something until the bearded dragon died, so I have like 6 more years at least with that bearded dragon.
Yeah, you
Maybe.
still got time to do research and decide what you want. Because
Well,
you're ever looking
it's
for if you're ever looking for ball pythons, my cousin breeds them too out in Indiana.
really.
So
You
yeah,
should connect me
he
with your cousin so I could talk to him because I
yeah,
would like to have him on the podcast too because I've
yo,
had
hey, yeah, that'd be a good idea, dude. What I'll do is well after this I'll shoot you over his because he's on my Facebook too. If you want, I'll shoot you over his name, and then you go ahead and reach out to him and shit. Yeah,
well
he actually be a
reach
pretty
out
good guest.
yeah that'd be no because and then that could get him some he could put it on his socials or whatever too to get him some more FaceTime so people can get to know him a little bit because
Yeah, he's been to reptile shows and shit. Like he's been breeding them for shit. He's been breeding them for a while. I don't know how many years, but he's been doing it for quite some time, man. He gotten pretty good at it. He got some good looking snakes too, man.
yeah.
Nice fucking patterns on them. They're really cool, man.
Does he do like the morphs like the buys and the pies and
I don't I
like
don't
the
know
white
too much,
is
but
it white ones and stuff like that?
he got some ones called so I don't know too much about snakes, but I remember on because I tell you, I used to have Instagram. I don't have it anymore, but he would advertise through that. Something about clown.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, the clown ones. Yeah, so he has quite a few of those. Like I said, you got to take a look at him, man. You can reach out to him. He could probably explain that shit to you
Yeah,
way better
no.
than I can.
How far is
He
he
got
from this area?
yeah, he don't live too far. He lives just right across the border in Indiana, in St. John.
Yeah, because like with those ones too, I like having the people here and like being able to see, like have him bring a snake or two with him or something. You know what I mean? Like that would be pretty cool. Just so because I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. Talk
um,
to him, dude. I'm sure you
or
can work something out.
or if he could get a camera and like where he keeps them to show us like that stuff, people will love that. You know what I mean? And that would
Oh
get
yeah,
him
yeah.
the ability to kind of normalize himself with more of his customers because when people get to know like who they're working with actually or like buying something from, there's a better chance of them, being like a forever customer. You know what I mean? Because it creates that
Oh
level
yeah.
of connection that you don't get nowadays. And people I feel like in the animal world want to trust who they're working with. Like
Yeah, you want to know where you're getting your animals from, and you want to make sure they're healthy. You want to
taken
know the
care of,
breeder has reputation and everything else. Yeah, because you don't want to sit there and
integrity.
spend that kind of time into it and find out this animal's sick or
Yeah,
something's fucked up about it, get ripped off, some
yeah.
crazy shit. Yeah, no, oh no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And then I could even
Yeah,
connect them with the guy out here, like the on June 10th. I'm having my other buddy back on, um, and he does like a reptile show. But then my other buddy, actually breeds snakes, and he's been doing it for like 2 years. I don't know if you heard that. That was my son just came in, barged in the room, boom, knocks the door right open, and just stand there smiling. Like he's such a trip, dude. He's a fun little guy though. He definitely brightens my day every day. Just that smile of his. I love being there in the morning when he wakes up because like he is in just the most amazing mood when he wakes up. He wants to dance and like jump around. Like you turn on wheels on the bus, dude, and he's fucking going like hard. Like, and he's only like 18. He's 21 months about to be, and so he still just like puts his hands down, and, like shakes his butt, and like just kind of like bounces around like a little kid. So it's just super
you
cute.
show them that purple dinosaur you used to be into, man.
Bro, Barney, bro, yeah, fucking. It's funny though, because like I look at him and I'm like, I see why my mom was so like smitten with me sometimes because like he could do something wrong and then he just does something so cute afterwards. Like it's just like, fuck you, dude. Like yeah, like you're not gonna get away with this shit all the time, okay? Like and like it makes sense why my mom let me get away with murder when I was like a young kid. Like there's some things I would do, like she would yell at me, and then sometimes she'd just be like, look at me and just be like, "Don't do it again," And it's like I always wonder why I got away with that, and like I would see sometimes them guys get in trouble for it, and I think it was just because I just did these little stupid things that would just make her, like it would just hit her in a spot because he does it nonstop, and like Skylar even does it too. Skylar would do something super cute. It's like you just did that on purpose, and like Skylar knows how to milk it now. Like she knows how to lay it on already, and so I got to be careful with her. Kids are they're little masterminds, dude. They really are. When they want something, they'll figure out exactly what they need to do to get it repeatedly. Like,
Yeah, Martin.
dude, they're very inventive, man. Very inventive.
Light years where I was at. Fuck.
Say it again.
So light years ahead of where I was at that age.
I mean, man, I don't like I don't know exactly how Luca's gonna be because he's just so like he's smart with when he like I can tell he's smart because he knows all this stuff, but like he could totally go the route of just being like a total like because he walks around sometimes like ha da 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 like literally walking around like this just like aimlessly and I'm like what are you doing right now and so he could go either way. He could totally be an airhead or he could be a smart one. I don't know yet. I can't tell. Um, and when I say an airhead, it's more of just like a I don't care type of, you know what I mean? Like a I'm not gonna try,
Yeah,
because
but
like
some like that are some of the smartest
well
motherfuckers there
yeah,
are, man.
because no, and like I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, like at all. Like I don't care whatever way he goes. But no, like that's what I mean. Like he's gonna have the intelligence. I'm not saying that he's gonna go either way. Like he's gonna be dumb or he's gonna be smart. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like he's either gonna go well, like he's gonna be like he's he has intelligence and he uses it, or he's gonna be like, you know what, this shit is not worth it. I'm just gonna have fun. And I would honestly rather probably have him go the have fun route and not like saying like party and shit, but like find the enjoyment in life instead of trying to have life run you. And
Yeah, you have
so
not stressed out about it to where it's affecting you in a negative sense. You know what I mean?
because he's definitely a happy seeker. He likes doing things that make him happy, that make him laugh, that make him like he definitely seeks happiness, and you can see it. And like Skylar seeks enjoyment. It's interesting. Like you could see like Luca doesn't care what he's doing as long as like he finds it entertaining. He's cool with it. But Skylar like looks for satisfaction in things. Like she likes to watch like her TV shows or she wants to play with a toy a specific certain way. You know what I mean? She's looking for something specifically where like Luca's like, hey, if we're playing together, I'm cool. And I know there's an age difference, but I do think that there's a lot of personality behind it too. You know?
All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, of course, that takes shape as you get older. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's it's so interesting, dude. Children teach you a lot. Um yeah, I just totally went off on a rant on kids because he barged in here. So my bad. I forgot what we were talking about before that. Oh, that's the consequences of smoking a fat one, I guess. You know, but I'm not like, oh, I'm this huge pot, I smoke all the time. That's not what I'm about. I like smoking pot, It's like having a drink. I don't drink at all really. So, but yeah, you get a lot of rambling from me when I get stoned.
I do the same shit. I do the
But
exact same shit. Wrong with that. You get caught in the moment. You gotta kind of how should I say, go with it. You know what I mean?
oh yeah, no, yeah, and I don't mind. Like I enjoy speaking so much, like not speaking, but like conversing with someone and just like bouncing ideas and letting a conversation flow. You know, and that's why I enjoy doing this so much, and that's why like I'm so glad I had the ability to work a job to where I was able to take the time to actually set something up like this and actually figure out how to do it and all that stuff and be able to continue doing it. It definitely is it's an outlet for me, and that's for sure. And it helps me
So
learn.
the cool, kind of like like you said, the job you have kind of help. How should I say? Kind of almost kind of gave you the training for it, I guess you could say. You know what I mean? Because you're kind of doing the same thing there, except you're not doing it in front of camera. You just I'm doing this, same shit a bartender would do. You just conversate with people. You serve them a drink and you just happen to shoot the shit.
Yeah,
Um, kind of like it's kind of the same thing. You know what I mean?
it really is. And it made me realize how every person has so much to offer, and like it's interesting going and talking back to people who like I thought like were really open minded and stuff like that, and then like you hear them talk about it, people like, oh, like that person's only this, and it's like, yeah, but that person does that a million times better than you probably do. You know what I mean? It's like even
Yeah,
though they do that, they still do that. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that sounds so repetitive, but it's they there's a lot of people who do things and they take their pride in it and they do it to the best of their ability and they understand it and they truly enjoy it. You know what I mean? And just because that's what it doesn't make as much money as maybe someone in an office in a corporate job, but that person also fucking hates their life 9 times out of 10 or 7 times out of 10. You know what I mean? It's like
right.
those people's happiness level is so low because they're so consumed by their job, and maybe they have a great later on in life. I'm not saying they're gonna be miserable their whole life, and it's a destiny with that. Um, it's a lot easier to have fun with money, that's for sure. But I think
It's
there's
hard to find what you enjoy to do. I mean, when you think about it, because I mean, you can sit there, you can have a job or something you like to do a lot, but then you might get stuck with an asshole boss or a supervisor. Your coworkers may be a bunch of assholes. Then on the flip side of it, you might get to a place you love the coworkers, you love your boss, but you hate doing the job that you're doing.
yeah.
Um, it's almost impossible to find that perfect balance
I think it comes
of the
with
two.
less instead of trying to balance those two. I think it's more about balancing ourselves. Because
Oh yeah,
less
yeah. Oh
expectations equals a lot happier life. You know what I mean? And like I haven't let go of all expectations in all aspects of my life. It's a hard thing to do. Um, but my expectations at work, I still let some get to me. Like I expect to be treated with respect by my coworkers and by my management. You know what I mean? Like I'm
yeah.
like and that's a hard expectation to kind of let go of for me. But
That's just common. Nobody expects you to kiss your ass or treat you special by everybody else. It's just common courtesy stuff. Everybody expects to be treated with some level of respect. Your bosses expect it. Your coworkers expect that, and that's a normal thing.
yeah,
That is a normal thing. But unfortunately, you get a lot of bosses where I'm the big dick. I'm the high one on top. I got the power. You do what I say. You don't say nothing. It's like I don't know how people could be like that at times. That still boggles my mind.
they
And then they expect real respect, and it's like you wonder why nobody likes you.
yeah,
You know?
it's when you're so far removed from the opposing point of your position. So like the person you're managing, you're removed from what they do. You're removed from all that crap. They have a hard time. I think even people have a hard time putting themselves in other people's shoes, and so without understanding what that person does, that separation could be only 1 degree. It could be that you're managing that person. That's 1 degree of separation to me, and you have no idea the struggles of their day. You know what I mean? Unless you go and do their work, and I think that's where a lot of management fails. Anytime I had a supervisor underneath me or managers I worked with or a job I started, I always made sure I learned what my people did below me. Um, and it was because if I don't understand what they're doing, then I don't understand what needs to be done before my job, or like, you know what I mean? Like I can't improve first off. And the always the first area of improvement I've always seen at jobs is always the workflow of stuff. And so with that, you have to learn the job in order to improve it. You get in there, you learn all the steps, and you find the gaps, and then you essentially fill those gaps with a win-win situation. You improve the time the person takes to do that task, but then as well, you also make that person's job easier. Um, and that's where the hard part comes in, is making sure that you're not just adding work into a person, because then you're just going to piss people off. You have to do a give
Right.
for a give. You know what I mean? And a lot of management
Yeah.
don't look at it like that. They look at it from only their perspective and like, hey, this is what needs to get done. I don't give a fuck about you. Get it the fuck done because that's what's being told to me pretty much. And it's like, no, because you're being managed by a manager. You're at a different level. You can't, not all shit deserves to be trickled down. You know what I mean? Like, I understand shit
Yeah.
rolls
No.
downhill, but if you want to run a conducive, productive, successful, repetitive business, where you're not just churning people in and out, and like, yeah, you can go be an Amazon of the world making people piss in cups and shit like that. and still be successful. But in the end, it's like, what's success when you have to literally destroy, or destroy people to build that mentality? And you may have,
I think
you know
I think when it comes to some people, it's just like a power trip thing. You know
there's
what I
something like,
mean? They got
yeah,
they got power in their hand. They want to micromanage, and it's a power trip. You know what I mean? Oh, I hold the authority over somebody. I got to flex my muscle. And at times, yeah, with some individuals, yeah, you probably will have to do that. But to have that mentality where, oh, I got to know everything, I'm the boss, and this and that kind of thing, um, that's where you run into trouble. That's where you get a high turnover rate. Like the last place I worked for, I won't mention any names, but last place I worked for, everything was pretty much cool there for at first for quite most of the time. But I noticed over the time, my boss's boss loved to micromanage. They didn't let my boss do the things that he was supposed to do. And because of that kind of stuff, uh, they didn't like the fact that I thought my boss and she was the first line, then his boss's boss. No, his boss's boss wanted to be the boss. That was it. There was no in between. It was just them. It was a power trip thing. It was an ego. And, a lot of places operate on that kind of deal. And that doesn't always work. You know what I'm saying? But, that's the world for you.
yeah, it's just unfortunate it has to be like that, right? But it's I don't think you're ever gonna escape that. Um, and that is a
Um,
shitty thing. You know what I mean? And it makes it so much harder to find something you love because, like you said, it's a balance between the two. And there's always, unfortunately, it's not something everyone would is gonna be able to do. And that's why I always say I feel so blessed to be able to have found something that where I feel like I have a good balance, where I'm happy, like and like I keep finding more and more happiness in this place that I'm at now. And so I do always remind myself that I am truly blessed, because there's plenty of people who work just to be able to do the things that make them happy. And
yeah.
and so that's a whole different perspective of where I'm working from too. And that's just, I am doing that right now. I'm working at a job that really I never thought I would be at, but I'm actually happy doing it. I don't mind doing it. um you would, I know, I think a lot of my coworkers would probably be like, yeah, I don't see how you can say that. But when I'm working, I'm generally pretty happy, unless I'm in like pain. That's the only shitty part, like, and that's not anything to do with the job. That's just my body, unfortunately. And well, I guess it is a couple things to do with the job, because it was fucking, one of them was a in on the job injury, which is total bullshit. Like, it's just the stupidest shit ever happens to me sometimes. And it's like, I've had a lot of fun in my life and like done extreme sports and stuff like that, and have had some spills where it's like, whoa, you would think with some of the things that I've gotten injured from, it's like you would think I would have been donezo with some of the things that have happened during extreme sports. But I mean, I guess you're a lot more rubber when you're a kid. And
Oh yeah,
so,
you heal a lot.
but you know, it every path is different, and so it's hard, like you said. It's finding the happiness between those two. But I think a good point is just to expect less from anyone. Just know that you're gonna go in there, do your job, and no matter what the day throws at you, just let it happen, address it, and move on. You know what I mean? Because once I started doing that, like, just whatever, if it happened, it has to get done. I can sit here and bitch about it for 10 minutes or an hour. How much time of my day do I want to give this thing? I started with 100% today. Do I want to give this thing 10%? Fuck no, I don't want to give this thing
Right.
10%. I barely have 10% to give myself. Like, you know what I mean? And so I always try to
Yeah.
remind myself of that. Like, don't give this thing your day. And so that helps me get through a lot of the shit. But dude, and it's funny because, like, you look at some people in positions and they don't belong there. I had this dude. I was finishing up some contractual work I was doing with a warehouse, and he had came in there, and then I went to radial, and he popped in there like 2 months later, and I was like, you were coming in there as a direct hire. Like, what happened? And then he was gone within a week from that place too. So it's just like, that dude is a person that just floats from job to job. You know what I mean? Until he's at his last bit. But and I I did that for a little bit, but it wasn't like always so quickly. It was I would spend my time there, but then once I found a job that paid more, I'll go to it. You know what I mean? Because to me, instead of sitting there trying to move up the corporate ladder at one job, like people spend their whole life doing and barely get anywhere, I was like, if I can find a higher position with a better pay, I'm gonna take it. I don't care if I've only been there
So
6 months.
that's kind of how I try to look at it too
It's
for
it's
the
how
longest.
it's how you should. You have to make your own advancements. You know, you create your opportunities when it comes down to a job, even if it's at that single job. You know, like my process of improving things. To me, that's going to create more positions, and more positions entail more positions of
Right.
management. You know what I mean? So like you're almost by improving, you're able to bring on bigger workload, take care of more product, and essentially you're bolstering the company to build a position for yourself. But in that meantime, if I only get halfway through my step of trying to bolster and I get an offer for a job that's higher pay and that is a better position, I'm gonna take it. I don't care if I'm, you know what I mean? Like that job would replace me in a second too. So it's like the whole, company man thing is a far forgotten thing in this country. You don't find company men anymore because there's not a company that's for the man anymore. You know what I mean? Like the, the
Yeah.
back in the day, I feel like companies, there's obviously a lot of turmoil, but there was a lot of people who were company men, and it was because the companies actually took care of them and they gave them a livable wage. You know, um,
You hear about that too, with the older generation, and you don't hear you rarely hear about that now. You
yeah.
rarely hear about that.
Well, it's because they don't give a fuck about us. You know what I mean? COVID exacerbated that so drastically too. Um, one of the biggest pitfalls I've seen from COVID that I really don't ever hear people talk about is a drop in customer service and just the overburden of work on individuals at jobs, and it's across the board. Everyone got more work put on them during COVID, and what the companies realized that hey, these people will do this work. We don't need to get back to where we were pre-COVID with our employment, and that's across the board with everywhere. And what that does is that then drops customer service because people are so much we're more pushovers. We will settle. We will compromise a lot quicker. To speak from it from what I see like at my job is we don't have something. People shift very quickly to the next thing. Before they would shift bars. They're like, all right, fuck this. I'm going somewhere else. You know what I mean? Now, like, okay, I'll settle. And you never see that before COVID. Um, and like customer service everywhere is just out the fucking window. I mean, iPass, they literally took away your ability to see your toll right when you go through it. And the only if you go through a toll and you don't know what toll you went through, the only way you're gonna figure out what toll you went through is when you get a fucking violation in the mail. I'm like, that can't be fucking legal. That
Well,
violates
usually,
like you're using it. So the whole thing of it was is I had fraud on one of my cards. And so I had my
yeah.
account set up. I didn't know the fraud had went through. And so I went through like a month worth of tolls and I had no notification of it. I had no knowledge of it until I get a thing in the mail. I'm like, what the hell's going on? It was like 2 weeks, not a month. Sorry, I'm exaggerating. Get the thing in the mail, and I'm like, how the fuck is this? I look at my account, and there was these huge Amazon charges on it, and so I figured out it wasn't me. Called them. They did everything, but because of that, if I would have been able to look at my account and see that like, hey, these things are not I wasn't hitting because I wouldn't be able to see that. I would because you literally you went through a toll on iPass before COVID, you could see that like within a minute. Now it takes 2 weeks, which is the violation period. They also went and removed all the signs that said miss a toll, pay online, check online to see or whatever. And it's like they removed all those signs. So it's like they
Yeah.
created
So
a
they can
trap for people because then they could tack
get
on
you.
3 and $5 and $20 charges.
Yeah. So they can
It
make more.
Yeah. And because it's not a fucking government entity, it uses Illinois' name. It is the subsidiary
So it's
is
a
owned.
company doing it for the state. So the company
No, the
does it so they
states.
can make more.
I don't think Illinois. The only affiliation they have with it is the fact that it's a road and it's helped maintained by Illinois government. I think they get funds from the government too, but the subsidiary that built and owns 355 is actually Chinese owned.
You serious?
100%. They built it. They were supposed to only be a toll road until it paid back the road. The shit never went away. It's supposed to take like 5 years to pay back or something like that with the usage of it. And I think the usage was way over what they predicted. Maybe it was even, and yeah, no, it's not stopping. It'll be his whole world forever, which was not the way that it was presented to the public when it was brought in. You know what I mean? Which is total bullshit.
Down here
But and now they're
in
turning us
Florida,
over and fucking us over with it. Like,
yeah, down here in Florida, they're pretty good with as far as the
no,
tolls and shit like that. Like for example, like there's hurricanes or a major storm and you got to leave certain areas. They shut all those down. Those are free for
yeah,
people to evacuate on. During the regular times, uh, pretty much you'll get something in the mail telling you, hey, you know, you got to pay the toll within this time. Usually got about a week or two
yeah.
to pay like that. And so, Florida's been pretty good about it. I never had any issues like that. They always send something in the mail of some sort.
Now Florida's problem is you gotta watch out for fucking planes, fucking radaring. That's the bullshit in Florida, which is far and few between. But still, I got hit with a ticket one time going across. It's mostly in the center of the state. I realized because that's the only time I ever seen the signs, and that was the only time I only got ever hit once. But yeah, it was not cool getting a ticket in the mail. And it's like what? And you driving by and you're like looking like, where the fuck? This is where I actually got the ticket. Like where the fuck was there a cop? And then like 2 miles of the road, you see a sign that says monitoring by aircraft or some shit like that. Some like general name for an airplane or something like something.
Really? Down in Florida?
Yeah, going from Port St. Lucie to Cape Coral, going through the
I mean, I've
Everglades.
seen like seen lights like the traffic. You know, you're running lights or
No,
shit like
bro, you've
that.
never seen the sign. Well,
Um,
maybe they don't do as much. I really do think it's more the upper Atlantic side and then the middle of the state. 'Cause I've only seen it in the middle. I've heard people talk about it though on the Atlantic side. I've never seen the signs on the Atlantic side. I've only seen it in the middle of the state driving through the boonies.
the only thing I see some similar to that is when I was driving down toward Miami. I was making a trip for a job, and I did see signs even on my phone, my Apple app that uses the GPS was telling me that there was like speed cameras and stuff like that along the highway.
Yeah.
And you don't see no intersection cops or anything, but it's something about a speed trap or something. So they must have cameras at certain areas to where people speed a lot. And so if you're probably going way over the speed limit, they're maybe going to hit you with some shit like that. But
Well,
that's the only closest thing that I
there
see signs for that. I can see what you're saying.
there was some. Well, yeah, no. I'll find out where that ticket was. I'll look it up and figure it out, and I'll let you. I know exactly. Like I can literally picture the fucking spot. Oh fuck. I just moved our whole screen. I can. Oh, I'm trying to grab the screen from the top because I have the recording and then I have you up top, and I'm sitting there trying to grab the internet window. You can't see it, the
Oh,
internet window, but I'm grabbing the actual screen below. It's a mind fuck right there. um. Let's see. There was something I'd heard a long time ago in Florida about how the chips in our phone, there was like towers or something along the highway in Florida that were able to pick up on them. Um, but
like speeding and shit like that.
well, it was a way of tracking people. They were saying it was some conspiracy, but I remember there being like then there was a news article that came out about it, and like it, I don't remember exactly what the news article said, but I was like, what the fuck? And like it just made me think about it with talking about them. Yeah, it's not coming up. It's all about how to avoid toll roads. Uh, credit card scanner on highway. It's a conspiracy theory. I don't necessarily scammers.
Well, shit, they could track you through phones too, so I wouldn't be surprised.
No, and it was around. Yeah, I know. Well, the weird thing was, there was that whole. There was a proposition by someone to like for chipping individuals. I don't remember what the circumstances of why that individual would be chipped, but like they turned it down, and then the next thing that came out was chips and credit cards. It's like everyone went fucking crazy about it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they couldn't put them in us, and so what does everyone carry? They carry credit cards. Like,
Yeah, but I
and
mean, they chips inside you so you can pay for your shit.
well, think about it.
Like
If
debit
that
card
if that
chips.
a chip can pick up a signal, that's what NFT is. It picks up that signal. If our phones emitting a signal, those two can communicate with each other. You know what I mean? To identify who you
Yeah,
are and who's with that phone or who's within range of that fucking phone. You know what I mean?
right.
Oh, I just picked up on this NFT. This person's walking closely to Nika. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying they're fucking watching me. I mean, they're not gonna have a lot of fun. If they're watching me, you know, they're,
Yeah.
they're gonna see a very interesting Truman Show.
Right, like a deranged one and shit.
I mean, I'm a pretty deranged mind, that's for sure. Um, yeah, but so all the stuff. It's always sounded plausible, but whether it's the truth or not, I highly doubt it. But it's just it made me think of it because I remember I was living in Florida when I heard about it, and it was all centered around it spawned. I think it spawned from that whole chip thing of people being chipped and then them tracking with the chips, and that's how they got to they're tracking us on the highways. The scanners they're putting up are for that, and it was
Yeah,
really just they were putting up more toll scanners or some shit like that. I don't know. I just wanted to look up to see if it was actually still something people talked about, but it definitely was not. Um, Florida's a good state though for the most part. I mean, it's not set up for like a growing family, unfortunately, in a lot of areas. A lot of areas are set up for more like retirement and stuff like that. But
well,
there's
I don't think
pockets.
that's true. I think it just depends on where you live.
Well, no, there's
Unfor-
pockets. Yeah.
yeah, unfortunately, when you look at now in the last 4 years, ever since Uncle Joey got in the driver's seat, everybody's been coming down here because of all the bullshit that's going on up north. So everybody's flooding down here. So when everybody's flooding down here, the prices of everything has gone, especially with the economy and everything.
Yeah,
Everything has doubled, tripled, and housing is like average. From what I
yeah.
mean, I ain't no real estate agent, but from what I heard people talking, I think like an average decent home here in Florida
Come in, Sky.
is like maybe 300,000-400,000. It's like how in the fuck can
Stay
anybody
over
really
there.
afford it?
What's up? Sorry. That's a good steak. All right, sorry. Um, um, yeah, no, real estate has gone up down in Florida. I remember the house that let's look it up. What was it? I don't remember the address now. Of course, 561 Nagel.
But I mean, other than that, I mean, I love it down here. I mean, to me, Florida's home. It's home now. I don't see myself living anywhere else. I mean, if I had the money, I'd like to have a place maybe somewhere up north or something like that, like Michigan or something. I could do the snowbird thing, but
Bro,
that's gonna be price tag.
it went down 7 grand too. It's at 362,000. This house was 180 grand, bro. I was renting it for 1,400. The rent, I think, the last time I saw was like 28 to 32 or something like that. Let's see.
2,800 a month,
Yeah, I think it was at 32 at one point.
dude. It's like that. That's like higher than some house.
For rent right now, for what the Zillow estimate is 2,500. So it went up $1,000, at least 1,100.
And that's not even including utilities and none of that shit either.
Nope, nope, bro. And this was just 2016. It's not even 10 years.
You're
2000.
basically paying the mortgage for that house.
I mean, well, $362,000. You're looking at like I mean, 5 grand, maybe a little more. I mean, depending with the rates right now. You know what I mean? Like so,
Yeah,
$362,000. I mean, I don't even know what the APR rates are even at.
I don't
But
know anything.
let's see. Where is it at? Let's see. Yeah, $2,100 is what the. Wow, that's not that bad actually. if they were to refinance to a lower rate, it'd be 20. It's saying around 2100. The lowest you could probably get is 2100. So you're probably looking at like, yeah, around 27 and that 26. Sorry, yeah, I don't know why I was thinking five. I was thinking more of like five
You're
hundred
almost
thousand dollars, 600,000.
you're almost to buy instead of renting.
Well,
Because I mean, theoretically,
that's how it used to be. Like, I don't know, like a good reference to it that's in a recent series is on Netflix when they redid Selena. You hear the guy talk
what?
about, well, you remember Selena, the singer?
Yeah, yeah.
They redid like a documentary on her on Netflix. With like obviously all new people, not J Lo. Um,
But
but
the real people, yeah.
yeah, and so like they reference it. He goes, for when I'm renting this house, I can buy these three or these. He says these two. I'm pretty sure he says these three, and like he gives the one to his son or whatever, and it just kind of exemplifies how things used to be. It used to be more expensive to rent. That's why people always said it's more expensive to be poor, and it truly still is more expensive to be poor in this country. And maybe you eat a lot of fast food, or you eat out more, or you get those bargain deals, and all that food's shitty for you. So essentially, gives you health risks. You have more health issues. You have to go to the doctor more. Like the rent costs more. You know what I mean? Like it's ends up being more expensive to be poor in this country. When you truly break it down to all the negatives that come along with it. And that's how it was for a very long time. And I mean, it turned a little bit to where it was more expensive to buy a house, and so you saw rent, booming. But now it's back to where it's, I mean, you saw house purchasing booming because it was cheaper to buy the house than it was to rent, and now it's getting back to the opposite way to where I don't think they want people owning much. I mean, you get the people like that one douchebag Klaus
No,
Schwab.
everybody, then they got you by the balls no matter what you do.
You will own nothing and you will like it, is what that douchebag said. Or they will own nothing and they will like it. Yeah, fuck you, dude. Like, get the fuck out of here with your $1 trillion fucking bank account. Like, you're an asshole. Like, just
Fortunately, unfortunately, that's the way it's going when you look at it.
Well, dude, I look at a lot of these places they're building. Like, you see these $1 billion fucking resorts that they're building, and it's like, dude, who the fuck can afford to really go to these places? And like, why are they building them? I think they're building underground bunkers under those. But then you see these like
Never know.
these nicer complexes coming up that they're like, it's like a little town setting almost, like where they're trying to be like their own like little city essentially, but like a self-sustainable city where like everything is within reach of it. You don't need cars, and it's like that's what they're gonna fucking try and corral us into. I feel like, you know what I mean? Because you take away
Never
someone's
know.
ability to travel,
Yeah.
you take away a lot. The automobile really revolutionized the world because it gave us the ability to move in and out of cities and disperse ourselves a little bit. But that also creates a population that can kind of be harder to control too. You know what I mean? You get a lot more free thinking. You get a lot more outliers, which outliers always find the new things or find the oddities in life, and then they get exacerbated because they're able to actually now vocally speak out from anywhere. Anyone can do what I'm doing right now. It's not that expensive. It just takes the time and dedication to it. And so with that, it makes us a little bit more of a problem child. You know what I mean? And so
Right.
that's why I could see
Well,
them trying to corral us back into something like that.
is there a way to control it? That's why I think maybe that's another reason why they want to go electric cars. You know what I mean? They got a
Well,
way to shut those down.
yeah, you can fucking control them completely. Like, she's like a fucking little RC car, like that one.
Yeah, think about it. You're driving, and let's say you're wanted for somewhere, they're looking for you, and I'm sure some of these electric cars, I'm sure these companies got ways of tracking these.
I mean,
Them
every car
telling people,
now, every car now that has a computer in
yeah,
it.
they got chips in them and shit like that. So I guess it just all depends what you got in it, because some of these got those screens where they got the GPSs, and I guess if they really want to track you bad enough, all they got to do is go to the manufacturer,
Yeah,
find out who owns what, and then
they already have that
that would
information feeding to them. They bailed them out back in '08, or no, that was the bank.
you could call from the car. So, and then we
Well,
walk around with cell phones on top of that.
well, think about OnStar, bro. OnStar can shut your car off. They can turn your car on. They can unlock your doors. You know what I mean? Like they've had that
Uh,
technology for a very long time. Um, that's like the Michael Hastings thing that people were saying that they fucking drove his car and fucking killed him because of the shit he said about that general that had to step down. He ended up reporting on him or something like that, and he had said how he's talking shit about Obama, and so the guy had to resign. And I mean, think about it, you're a fucking general in the military, dude. You know some people, like,
yeah,
and so this dude's car, sometime later after he said he believed people were trying to kill him, all of a sudden just went speeding down a street in L.A. somewhere and fucking just boom nailed a fucking pole or some shit and blew up, just inferno, like, and I think they
yeah.
blamed it on drugs or something like that, or they blamed it on him being suicidal or something. I don't know, but it was just weird how he said, it's like the whole thing with Boeing going on right now. Man, if you're a Boeing
Oh yeah.
whistleblower, your life expectancy is very fucking short. You're most likely going to commit suicide. Like, that's the way shit's
Well,
looking.
Boeing did some shit. Boeing got big contracts too with government contracts. So you're blowing the whistle on them, and they find out that they got some faulty aircraft. Shit like that. That'll fucking destroy them.
And like the one dude was like, if I commit suicide, I did not do it. Told his sister that shit, and then the day before his deposition, he's found fucking shot in his car.
Yeah.
Suicide.
Yeah.
Did you see the shit about the Iranian president?
Yeah. Well, about the helicopter crashing and shit like that. Obviously he has some targets. He has the targets painted on his back because he's pissing off a lot of people. But in my honest opinion, I think the people he was pissing off got very fucking lucky because you see the conditions they were flying that fucking helicopter in. I don't give a fuck if you got sanctions and they had parts wrong. You're flying in wide out fucking conditions, and you're dumb enough to get in the helicopter and go fly in that. Then you deserve to get fucking blown up on the side of the mountain. You shouldn't have flown in that shit for one, and two, if you really had to be somewhere, you should have said, "Fuck, you know what? We'll drive if we have to. If not, let's lay low for a couple of days, let the weather blow out, and then get on the shit and do what the fuck you got to do."
I don't believe in
That could have happened
coincidences.
to anybody, man. That could
Yeah,
have happened to anybody.
I just don't believe in coincidences, man. This dude fucking has been top of the newsreel for some time now with the little, even though he shot off stuff that was like centuries old at fucking Israel so they could just deflect it. He just did it as a show of power to show like, hey, I'm not gonna take your shit.
Yeah,
And they had no intent in hitting targets. They sent those missiles over there knowing they'd be fucking taken out. You know what I mean? It was just more of like a, hey, don't fuck with me. Like, I'm not afraid of you. It's like,
it's just something to show that don't fuck with this kind of shit. They know they probably couldn't do shit, but they had to do something in order to show some balls. So they had to do something. So they had to whip their dick on the table and do something,
yeah,
or
yep.
else they look weak as shit. And
Put a
then
little
you're gonna have a
mushroom
lot
stamp.
of talking. So yeah, you had to flex your muscle and do something. But I honestly think that there was no
You
real conspiracy
You don't
and
think
shit
so?
like
I see that what the oddity to me, and like I know I look for oddities and everything, but it's just how it was one of three. The one of three that happened to go down. There was three helicopters that left from the same place, went to the same place, and two of them made it, and the one with the most important people in it fucking didn't. You know what I mean? It's like it.
well, I didn't know that there were three. I thought it was just one helicopter.
No, there was a
So
total of
there,
three that left the airport. That was the first
okay,
reporting on it. I don't know if they changed it now or what, but I know when I first heard it, they said there was three helicopters that left the same place, and one of them fucking
like the
went
whole
down.
entourage and everything and all
Yeah,
that.
and one went down. And I
Yeah,
understand the conditions. That's a perfect cover too. You know what I mean? Hey, this dude's traveling
yeah.
today. We know he's moving. This will be a perfect fucking cover for it right now. Most, anyone that's flown in a helicopter says that that's perfectly plausible. You know what I mean? Like it is. What
They
it made.
said that and they picked up some Indians that were kind of in that area, so to speak. I think I heard something along the lines of that. But I don't know whatever happened, whatever became of it.
Yeah. See,
I don't
dude,
know what the relations are
these
with
little
Indian Iranian.
breadcrumbs, though. These little breadcrumbs are little. You know what I mean? They're oddities that people will look over, and unless you truly have a keen eye, these things don't stick out to you. You know what I mean? And like, I'm
Well, yeah,
sure they might like
buddy.
if you haven't heard about it, they changed the narrative. I'm guessing. You know what I mean? They probably stopped bringing it up because it's like, oh fuck, don't say that. You know what I mean? 2/3. He had a 1/3 chance of it happening. I mean, no, he really had a 50-50 chance of it happening. Because it either happened or it doesn't. But it's to me, if two of them made it and they had the less important people, there's so many fucking weird things with that. You know what I mean? Like you would think the best pilot would be with him.
You got to look at the pilot too, though, man. Does the guy have
But
experience flying in those conditions and shit like that,
if there's three
or are they just
pilots, why would the two better ones go with the less important people? And you're talking about Iran, the same, you know what I mean? Like America, okay, I maybe get it. You know, we judge everyone the same. Iran, they're fucking killing you. Like they're not judging anyone the same. Like
it's definitely some shit. It does make
know,
you wonder about because CIA got brought up here. People talking about it here, talking about Mossad, the Israelis and shit. Like I said, you got a lot of people
that wanted
uh,
them dead.
that, that obviously don't like you. But see, here's the thing, in my opinion, too, is that okay? You take him out,
You got a lot
you
more
still got
problems.
the supreme leader, you still got a couple other individuals that help are top tier of the government. So you're gonna take him out. That may not necessarily change things in your favor necessarily.
No,
You might
it
still
could
have.
backfire.
Well, yeah, but see, the thing is, even if you took that guy out, you still might have the same scenario that you're staring
With the
down
next
5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
It may not change at all.
The devil
I
you
mean, it may
know
not.
is always better than the devil you don't, you know?
Yeah, it may not help, but it may not improve things in your favor either. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
it takes some time to tell.
And that's kind of what gave me some disbelief about the whole Nordic pipeline thing. When it came down to Russia, I was like, dude, there's no fucking way they blew up their own pipeline. It just doesn't make any sense. It sounds so stupid. And I was like, the first day I seen it, I was like, that's Navy SEALs right there. Because that takes a level of competency to perform, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's just not, it just doesn't, the whole narrative of it being Russia just to me, like, exemplified that it wasn't them, because it's like, dude, how did you even come to that? Because can you please share your logical explanation of why the fuck they would do that when it's like one of
Yeah.
their main fucking money lines?
And the Germans were still willing to buy oil from them regardless of what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
And the way we wanted to do things, we can't have that shit. So we'll solve that problem. Just cut it off.
Yeah. It was, yeah. And like so the first day of that one, I think that's what makes me so skeptical about this is because of that, you know. So I'm definitely biased against the fact that there was some uh some some intelligence operations going on, you know. But in the end, we'll never
If we're, I would have gone for the supreme leader. You know what I mean?
I mean, in essence, you want to go for the council. The council's the one that really appoints everybody. I don't know where the supreme leader falls, either above or below them.
Supreme leader, top motherfucker. He calls all the shots. He's the one that's actually going to pull the strings.
But the council is the one that appoints them, isn't it? Because the council appoints the president. I know that, like, the council has to approve you to run for presidency, and so
right. But
that's
the
how they
supreme leader will ultimately call the shots on everything.
But they don't. Does the council vet the supreme leader before he becomes a supreme leader? I don't know how that works with them.
I'm not sure exactly how it works with the Iranians. I really don't know. That's something you might have to Google and research a little bit too. But now I know that the guy, I think, that's temporarily. I know they got another guy temporarily taking over, and they got 50 days to organize an election and all that kind of shit going on, from what I heard on TV. But they're also saying the third guy in line is the Ayatollah's son. So some people think that it could be internal to where the Ayatollah is involved in it somehow. You get rid of this guy in the middle, you bring your son up, so when you step down or eventually leave office, your son just rolls right in, and the same family of people control the same power base.
Yeah.
But like that's another thing. People say, yeah, you got the CIA, the Mossad, but then you also got internal competition too.
And I would honestly, that's a good point. I would look more internally than anywhere. I would look at their motives first. That's actually a very, very good point.
I would,
because I could see it being they're closer. You know what I mean? They're way closer. They have way more availability to do it, and so it just makes sense too. I just don't. It would come out quicker. It'll come out definitely if it was them. You know what I mean?
Benefit.
Yeah, the biggest benefiter is usually the culprit. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
very
you're right.
rare
Well,
that they're not.
the foreign powers, like I said, you can whack that, you can whack him, but that still may not change the scenario that you're playing out with them.
Yeah.
Someone else is take a spot and carry on the policy. It's not going to change anything.
Or it could
You know,
become
in
more
my
hardline. You know what I mean? If they become a more hardliner, then we have a bigger problem in essence. You know what I mean? Like they'll instead of sending shit that can get blown out the air to Jerusalem or Israel, they're gonna send shit that could, you know what I mean? It could essentially escalate our situation. So it's, you know, I think there's been plenty of scenarios where the CIA had to choose like, hey, do we regime change this, or, and you know, they will regime change if they want, but you'll see it play out. But that's why I said it all depends on what happens. You know what I mean? What happens next is really gonna be the determiner in me seeing how and in my beliefs of what I think it is. But I do gotta head out. We were almost on there for 2 hours.
yeah,
I gotta go eat some food and stuff, and then I got
that's probably 2 hours.
yeah, it just zips by, and we were talking about some crazy shit too. So, but
Yeah, rabbit hole, man.
yeah, no, I'll hit you up, man. I like doing this. These just like weekly
Yeah,
like check-ins are nice to kind of get everything out, you know.
yeah, hell yeah, dude, hell yeah. But I'll send you my cousin's
Yeah,
name and info. I'll get in touch with him and everything, and then yeah, you can reach out to him and shit. Like he's a cool guy. You'll like him a lot. He got some cool snakes. It's good shit, man.
yeah, no, for sure. And then you know, I'll reach out. We can do this again here soon. But take it easy, brother.
Cool. You too, man. Take it easy. Later.
Later.